Now that you have an understanding of what formulas and functions are and the main components involved, let's have a look at how to use functions in a practical way in Excel. The purpose of a function is to provide you with an easy way to perform a complex calculation so that you can focus on results instead of trying to remember your grade school math equations. Let's explore how to make the best of the functions provided in Excel. Functions are pre-made operations that are used to perform calculations. Excel features a few functions related to basic math, financial applications, logic, date and time, and more. Every function formula will automatically have the function word followed by parentheses. Inside the parentheses will be the arguments. Arguments define the data to calculate, such as a value, a cell reference, or any input that can be used in a calculation. You may notice that inside the parentheses, the arguments are separated from each other by punctuation marks, such as commas or semicolons. Together, functions and arguments comprise a formula. Let's have a look at some methods for creating formulas in an Excel worksheet. You can start by adding a column of 10 numbers. To create a formula using the numbers in these 10 cells, you could type equals A1 plus A2 plus A3 through to A10. However, this would quickly become tedious and would also make the spreadsheet harder to work with. A much more efficient way of performing this calculation is to use the sum function, followed by selecting the range of cells you want to add to your formula. This is much easier than typing out a very long formula and allows for more flexibility if you need to include additional rows within the formula range. You can create the same function using autocomplete. As you are typing into the formula bar, Excel will suggest functions and show a description of the top result. You can use your arrow keys to select the desired function and press Tab to apply it, or continue typing and ignore Excel's suggestions. Once the function is entered, Excel will prompt you to enter each argument as necessary. For the sum function, the arguments will be the values and/or cells to be added. It is good to remember that you can click and drag to add cell ranges to the formula. When the formula is complete, add the closing parentheses, press Enter, and Excel will calculate the value. So far, you have used the sum function, which is quite easy to remember. Now let's try out the Insert Function dialog box to create functions. Thomas from Westcal Publishing needs to calculate the average amount of sales revenue made by each representative of the sales team over the past 4 quarters of the financial year. You could use functions to achieve this. Let's have a look at how to do this. Open the Westcal Publishing Sales Report document. You can start by first selecting the cell into which you want to insert the function, then click the Insert Function button on the formula bar, or click the Formulas tab and then Insert Function. The Insert Function dialog box will open. At the top, you can choose a category. Selecting a function in the Select a Function dialog box will display a description of the function and the required arguments. Choose the desired function from the list and click OK to insert it. The Function Arguments dialog box will appear. Here you can select the cells containing the arguments for the function. In many cases, Excel will predict the arguments based on the position of the function and automatically enter them in one or more of the argument fields. Required arguments will be indicated in bold and optional arguments will be indicated in plain type. Selecting one of the argument fields will display a description and the constraints of that argument. If required, complete the arguments by selecting the argument field, then selecting the appropriate cell or range of cells to complete the function. Then click OK. You can also insert common formulas using the AutoSum command on the Home tab. First, click the cell immediately below the data if using AutoSum on a column, or to the immediate right of the data if using AutoSum on a row you want to calculate. Then click the AutoSum command to use that function, or click the drop-down arrow to choose a different one. The function and the arguments will be inserted based on the surrounding data. As well, the column or row of data to be summed will be highlighted. Press Enter to complete the formula. Let's take a quick look at the functions available in the AutoSum menu. Sum adds values in a specified range. Average determines the average value in a range. Count numbers determines the number of cells that contain a numeric value in a range. Max finds the highest value in a range, and min finds the lowest value in a range. You can view AutoSum calculations in the status bar. When you select a range of data, Excel will automatically calculate the average, count, and sum of the data and display it in the status bar. To view additional automatic calculations, right-click anywhere on the status bar to display the Customize Status Bar dialog box, where you can click to select or deselect from the available options. By default, Excel will automatically calculate formula results. However, This process can be delayed depending on the size of the workbook. To force Excel to calculate the workbook, click the Formulas tab and then Calculate Now. The calculations will then be completed, although you will not receive a notification when the process finishes.